Aloha, everyone. So today is August 1st, 2026, and we're about a week away from the 3-year anniversary of the fires in Lahaina. And today is the first day that you can drive from one end of Front Street to the other without any roadblocks. So that's exactly what we're going to go do. Let me show you what Front Street looks like right now.
Okay, we're starting on the Honoapi'ilani Highway and turning onto the far south end of Front Street right now. The first driveway to the left here is the entrance into the Puamana condo complex. Now, this particular portion of Front Street has been open for a long time, and I've done several driving tours in the past following this same path. But before today, we would have had to turn around at the Banyan Tree due to roadblocks. We'll get to the portion of the road that just opened up in a few seconds. But I think it's important for people to see how much progress has been made in the residential rebuild along Front Street in this area. And while we're here, let's go over some of the residential rebuild statistics found on the Maui Recovers website. As of July 31st, 2026, there's been a total of 264 single-family units that have completed construction. And that means that permits have been completed with the home having passed final inspection and ready for habitation. In addition to that, there's another 315 homes that are under construction currently. But what I found really interesting about the most recent statistic update is the county is now including the number of multifamily units that have been completed. So in addition to the 264 single-family units that I just mentioned, there's another 313 multifamily units that have officially completed construction. Of course, this is excellent news, but it does inflate the overall numbers. Previously, we were just looking at the properties that were completed, and now we're counting the units. So the statistics that were released the previous week showed a total of 233 homes completed construction. But this new release of statistics shows a total of 577 total units completed. Coming up on the left-hand side is the Lahaina Shores condo complex, and that is a hotel zone property, so short-term rentals are allowed. And hopefully now that Front Street is completely open, we'll see rentals start to pick up in the area as well. Just past Lahaina Shores, we're now passing the area that once held the shops at 505 Front Street. We're now entering the historical and cultural corridor known as Moku'ula, which once was the home of King Kamehameha. Now, the historically significant portion of this area was buried with a baseball field and tennis courts, but as part of the rebuilding of Lahaina, they do plan to restore this area as a cultural center. We're now approaching the Banyan Tree, which you can see off in the distance on the left-hand side. And this is also where the first public event was held in Lahaina just a couple weeks ago. The Lahaina Homecoming was a 3-day celebration with live music, where local vendors and food trucks lined up along Front Street and surrounding the Banyan Tree. If you're curious to see what that first celebration looked like from the air and the ground, check out the video I released just a couple of weeks ago. Since we're here, we might as well do the loop around the Banyan Tree and check out what the harbor looks like right now too. The empty lot on the right-hand side is where the Pioneer Inn was located prior to the fire, and straight ahead we're coming up on the Lahaina Harbor. As you can see, there are some boats and excursions that are leaving from the harbor currently, as it is open to limited commercial activities, and they are actively working on a dredging project which will hopefully lead to the rest of the harbor opening up relatively soon. On the left-hand side, we just passed the Old Lahaina Courthouse historical building. People often ask me if the Banyan Tree is open to the public, and the short answer is yes, you can drive or walk all the way around the Banyan Tree. But the park itself is still closed, so we still can't walk underneath the Banyan Tree. Straight ahead at the intersection here, we get a really good view of where the Wharf Cinema Center was located prior to the fire. And this is where you would have found popular restaurants like Cool Cat's Cafe, Down the Hatch, or Captain Jack's. Okay, so this intersection is where the roadblock was located. So just yesterday, we would have had to turn around, but as you can see, now traffic is flowing freely and the road is completely open. If you've been watching my channel, you already know that the rebuilding of businesses along Front Street has been slow to get started. But it was recently announced that several building permits have been issued, so hopefully we'll start to see more construction activity in this area in the near future. On the right-hand side, we're now passing the old Lahaina store, also known as the Fleetwood Building. And this is the area along Front Street where they have done a lot of work on the infrastructure. You can see that there's new sidewalks, there's new street lights, new benches, trash cans, and even bike racks. So it's nice to see progress in that regard. We're now coming up on the area that held Cheeseburger in Paradise here on the left-hand side, and we're also in the area that had Kimo's Restaurant, Lahaina Yacht Club, and Lahaina Fish Company. It is still uncertain whether some of those oceanfront businesses will be rebuilding. On the left-hand side here is where Bubba Gump's restaurant was located prior to the fire, and we're now coming up on the intersection at Papalaua Street. Just past the intersection is where the Outlets of Maui was located prior to the fire. In the parking lot of the Outlets of Maui is where we'll eventually see the new Ulu Olele Marketplace, which is a temporary project scheduled to open in September or October of this year, and it'll be comprised of 17 temporary retail units along with 8 food trucks. Now, speaking of food trucks, we're passing one right now on the right-hand side. It's a food truck called Front Street Fresh, and it is officially the first business to open up in this section of Front Street. Coming up on the right-hand side, we see the shell of the Seamen's Hospital Museum Historical Building, and on the left-hand side, we're now passing the very first oceanfront residential rebuilding project to start in Lahaina. Coming up on the right-hand side, we'll be passing the affordable housing project called Front Street Apartments. And it sounds like Front Street Apartments will start reconstruction sometime soon. On the right-hand side now, we're passing Kahoma Village, which, if you've been following my channel, you know this is my old neighborhood. That's where I lived at the time of the fire. For a couple years after the fire, we rented out our house in Kahoma Village to a local family through the FEMA program. Well, they recently moved out, so we're now offering the property for rent again. So if you know anyone that's looking for a really comfortable 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house with a garage that's walking distance to Baby Beach, I'll share a link to the rental listing in the description. Of course, no short-term rentals are allowed in Kahoma Village, so it would require a lease of at least 6 months or longer. We're now crossing the bridge over the Kahoma Stream. And on the other side of the bridge, we're coming up on the Cannery Mall on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we're now passing the old Lahaina Luau. Of course, this area was mostly unaffected by the fire, so not a whole lot has changed here. But it's still good to come support local businesses like the restaurants on the strip, including Star Noodle, Honu, Mala, Coco Deck Lahaina, and Aloha Mixed Plate. Now we're cruising back into a residential portion of Front Street, and this area was hit pretty hard by the fire. Now, you won't see a ton of houses being rebuilt in this area yet, but up the hillside, on the mountainside of the highway, there's a ton of progress in the residential rebuild. And hopefully we can maintain the positive momentum that we've built with the reconstruction, and opening up Front Street like this is one small step in the right direction. But as always, I'm really curious to hear what all of you think. Let me know in the comments what you think of the progress that's being made. By the way, don't forget to hit the like button for me if you appreciate these updates of Lahaina Town. Share this video with anyone you know who would also be interested in seeing what's actually happening here on the ground, and subscribe for more updates in the future because there's a lot more good news coming. And if you're interested in seeing bonus footage of Lahaina and Front Street, consider joining as a member as well. I'll share a link to the membership options in the description, and the QR code on screen will take you there as well. Now, I will be releasing an unedited members-only video where I drive Front Street in the opposite direction. So it's starting from the north end of Front Street, driving all the way to the south end, and seeing it from a different perspective, you will see more details. Now, there isn't any voiceover on that bonus video, it's just raw footage for people who want to see more. And I do plan to release even more members-only bonus footage in the future, but all the really important updates will remain available to all my subscribers. That being said, I do appreciate all the members that have already joined, and the more members that sign up, the more bonus footage I'll release. I hope to see you all on the next video. Aloha.